We got some information on how you can save money with your Xbox Series X and S, some insight from Matt Booty on Fable, the initiative, working with other studios, and all that type of stuff. All right, guys, before we get into this, I have 4 months to hit my goal of 10,000 subscribers. I see a lot of you are new to this channel. If you are, please consider hitting that subscribe button if you enjoy this video. But as we know with the Xbox Series X and S, there are 2 ways to boot up your console or to keep your console on standby mode. There is the instant on mode, and then there is the energy saving mode. The instant on mode is great. I mean, you hit the power button, you're literally right into a game, just as the name entails, especially if you have quick resume. You could stop and turn off your console at any point when you're playing a game with quick resume, turn it back on, and boom, you're right where you left off. Now, there is the other mode, which is the energy saving mode. We'll still take advantage of quick resume, but it will fully power down your console when you turn it on. So when you go back into it, you're going to have to wait for that boot up before jumping right back into the game. But it seems like there is more reason now, after some calculations that have been done after the rising energy costs in the UK and Europe, to really look into using the energy mode on the Xbox Series X and S. So calculations were done, and it's saying that it will save you up to about £5 per month if you decide to go with the energy saving mode on your Xbox Series X and S. And the reason for that is because the Xbox One S and the Xbox Series X and S consoles in standby mode consume between 11 to 13 watts, obviously depending on the model. If they are using it to have the instant on mode to quickly resume and play their games, but the energy saving mode consumes only around 0.5 watts, and that difference there is going to save you that money. Now, it's not a huge deal, right? Because if you've been following the boot up for the Xbox Series X and S, they have improved on the actual startup time for it. As right now, it takes about 5 seconds from the console being completely turned off to getting into the dashboard, and then it'll take maybe another 10 or so seconds to get into a game. So they're saying here, it takes around 15 seconds or so from pressing the power button to actually getting into playing a game with that energy saving mode. And I mean, you probably can cut that down to maybe like 7 seconds or 5 seconds or so with the instant on mode because of just how fast it boots up. So it's not a huge difference, and those couple of seconds are going to save you a decent amount of money. It says here, if you keep the Xbox Series X in instant on standby mode for 24 hours a day, it adds up to about £493 worth of monthly energy usage, calculated at the upcoming UK price caps. And the older Xbox One S actually consumes around 11 watts in instant on mode, so that's about $418 per month. The Xbox Series S is actually even better on energy than the Xbox One S. It says the Xbox Series S works out to be about $380 per month on 10 watts of usage in instant on. So I mean, hey, if you want to save a bit of money, you're in the UK, you're in Europe with the increase in the energy costs, and that may continue to rise as we go through 2023. This may be something to look at. You'll save about £60 or 60 euros, depending on where you live, per year, which, hey, that could easily be utilized for some more Game Pass stuff, for some more games, or just to save it so you have it in the bank. All right, jumping over here to the initiative and Crystal Dynamics and Perfect Dark. So as you know, last year there was that big story that came out as to how the studio was functioning, how there were people leaving the initiative, and people were wondering if this was going to cause a problem for the upcoming reboot of Perfect Dark, which is a massive game in Xbox Game Studios that a lot of people are looking forward to. A big game that Xbox really has to hit the mark with to get people into the ecosystem, to get people into playing on Game Pass. I think it will bring a lot of people over. But there was a story that came out that basically Daryl Gallagher, the head of the initiative, had put his foot down and said, hey, we're going to go in this direction for this game. And this means that we're going to go and work with Crystal Dynamics, bring them in and help them develop this game. Obviously, people didn't like that. Other people had different creative direction that they wanted to take this game, but he had to make a decision, and that's the decision he decided to go. I think this is something that people kind of were looking at as a negative thing, but when I first read this story, I thought, hey, this is a good thing. This is a leader finally deciding that they got to push this game forward. They got to make a decision and move forward with it as best as they can, and he thinks by doing this, it's going to give us the best result for Perfect Dark. Now, we have some more comments on this because a lot of people were saying this was just bad for the initiative. People were leaving because there were issues with leadership and the game studios and all that type of stuff. But when the full story came out, it kind of just seemed like people were upset that, hey, they decided to go the direction we didn't want to go, so we're going to decide to move on and pursue a different project. Now, Matt Booty has commented on this and what's going on at the initiative and with Perfect Dark. It says here, Xbox studio boss Matt Booty has assured that the initiative enlisting the help of Crystal Dynamics isn't indicative of a problem with development, but rather simply how large-scale AAA projects are currently made. The days of a single studio making an ambitious game like Perfect Dark are long gone. And here's the exact quote from Matt Booty. Says, how we make games is evolving. The idea of a single team under one roof really doesn't happen that often anymore. I'll use an example. Our Perfect Dark team down in Santa Monica, the initiative. So we just did this big partnership with Crystal Dynamics, and I read online, this must mean there's a problem or something. It's quite the opposite, right? You've got this veteran team at Crystal Dynamics, a big AAA team with over 100 people that becomes available. Of course we want to work with them, particularly if they've made a game like that before. And that's how we've done an awful lot of work. If you think about Age of Empires 4, which just launched last fall, that was made in partnership with Relic Studios up in Vancouver. Great partnership. And even something like Flight Simulator, we worked with the studio in France called Asobo. And that kind of co-development, when you're working out with people like Certain Infinity, Iron Galaxy, Blackbird, all those studios are so key to the products that we make. That though also adds some complexity where if one of those studios has problems, it impacts the schedule. And then he concludes saying that the days are gone when you can sort of go, everybody round up the team in the cafeteria. I want to tell everybody to work harder this Wednesday. That's long gone. It's gotten a lot more complicated than that. So those are some pretty interesting comments. And honestly, when they first announced that they're partnering up with Crystal Dynamics, Daryl Gallagher, who used to be a part of Crystal Dynamics, used to work there, knows a lot of the employees, probably was very confident in the work that they do over there. I mean, you just take a look at the Tomb Raider trilogy that they created, an absolute incredible trilogy. All games were very, very good. And you're going to be taking developers who have worked on games that I'm assuming they're going to take a lot of things and stuff that they learned from Tomb Raider and put it into Perfect Dark. It just made a ton of sense. So I thought that was a good thing. I thought it was pretty blown out of proportion that there were big issues going on at the initiative. Now, I don't work there. There definitely could be. I think at the end of the day, though, Matt Booty here is saying that this is kind of the way of life in game development these days, especially with all of the stuff that comes out about crunch, studios trying to get rid of that. They can't go and just tell everybody to work harder and work longer to make sure that a project goes through. One of the ways that they can get around that is by teaming up with other great studios out there that become available if they aren't working on a project at that time. And that's exactly what happened here with Perfect Dark. But I think one of the biggest things here is that with games like Perfect Dark, with this reboot coming out, Xbox Game Studios, they got to deliver on it and make it a game that people are very excited about and people really want to play, to continue to instill confidence that, hey, they can build a new studio from the ground up and deliver quality games, the initiative being that new studio. So if they can come out here, deliver a great product with Perfect Dark, I think it will go a long way for getting that confidence from consumers with Xbox's first party developers. I mean, we're taking a look at what's going on right now with Halo Infinite, and a lot of people have lost confidence in 343 Industries because they just haven't been delivering. They've been going back on the promises with something like Couch Co-op. And I'm not saying that this is going to be something that they can't recover from, but when stuff like this happens, people do lose confidence in these first party studios, and the initiative has a chance here to come out of nowhere, to come from the ground up and deliver a product that blows the entire industry away. And then finally here, we got some comments from Matt Booty in regards to Fable. As we know, Fable, again, just like Perfect Dark, it is a game that's getting a reboot, and it's a game that Xbox needs to deliver on. It is a premier Xbox franchise, a huge fan base, and people are very excited for this. And one of the things that I think people were kind of confused and questioning, but also excited about at the same time, was when they announced that Playground Games was going to be developing Fable. And Matt Booty talks about this. He says here, part of my job is giving air cover to the team. They don't want to show stuff early before it's ready to go, but if there's one game where that's kind of flipped around, where every time I see something I say, we should show this, it's Fable, because there's a lot of cool stuff. The team has made it very clear that I am not going to be able to show anything until it's ready. And Playground Games is bringing craft and dedication that they brought to Forza Horizon, and he admits that giving Fable to Playground was a bit of a head scratcher, but they've been proven that they get it. They understand what Fable going to be all about. So I mean, this is something that, I mean, hearing this, I'm sure you may be sitting there thinking, well, what else is he going to say? He has to get people excited for this upcoming Fable game. But the fact that Playground Games has continuously delivered with Forza Horizon, and the fact that they have the knowledge and understanding how to make great looking games with great gameplay that run very smoothly. I mean, you take a look at Forza Horizon 5, how big of an open world that game is and how well that game plays and runs on the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Gives you lots of hope for how Fable is going to turn out coming from Playground Games. I think here that I'm definitely with Playground though, even though Matt Booty says that he wants to show it, the stuff that he's seen looks great. I think that you wait until the game, when they show it off, blows people away, and it is a time where they're going to be able to announce a release date where it's not going to be delayed. It's going to be relatively close to the end of the life cycle of it. And then when the game actually comes out and delivers, it is a game that's not buggy and it's very similar to what they initially showed off, because that's one of the big things that you can't do. You've seen it happen time and time again where developers show off their game with this insane trailer. The game comes out and there's been so many concessions made compared to what the people first saw, and that always ends up with a lot of backlash, always ends up with negative media towards the game, and definitely overall hurts the game. You even think about things, Cyberpunk 2077, all the stuff that they promised, all the stuff that they showed off, and then when the game came out, just the amount of bugs and how terrible that was. So I think Playground Games is smart putting their foot down here and saying, hey, we're not showing anything off until we're ready, until we believe it's at a point where we're happy with what people are going to see. And I'm assuming they'll be showing it off at a point where when they show it off, it'll be a one-to-one translation to what the game is when people are playing it and when it comes out. That's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the energy saving mode. Are you going to be doing that? What do you think about what Matt Booty thinks about the initiative and the decision the initiative made to go work with Crystal Dynamics and Fable? Are you confident that Playground Games is going to be able to deliver? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.